Welcome in, guys. Happy Friday. We got NBA playoffs in full swing coming up this weekend. We have the play-in tournament finishing up tonight, and then obviously round one starts tomorrow. We're going to go through all of that. We got a couple of bets. We got one bet in the MLB out so far. We'll give you guys that out on here for free. Stay tuned. And as far as the NBA playoffs, we have 4 bets. Make sure you sign up on the app or the website, massiveedge.com, if you guys want those. As far as this week, been a little bit shaky, a couple of bad days. One really big day on Wednesday with a 3-dog sweep, and that's kind of kept us afloat for the week, John. Only one bet yesterday on the small card with Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona, we did what we do. Took 151, and that game closed about 130, plus 135, the best you could get. Webb with another gem, though. That was a 1-0 game going into the 8th inning when San Fran piled on a couple of runs. So plus the 151 was the right bet. I know a lot of guys say, how can it be the right bet if it don't win? It's the right bet because that's where the money went. That's where the shops went. We lost our pitcher in the first inning. Just give me 1 sec. What info do we get coming on here?
As always, guys, you guys know Friday's busy day, so if we get distracted by info, bear with us.
Yeah, that's they're listing Dawson Mo. Bulls going to have some. Let's get right into this basketball because that's actually the info that's coming up right now. Chicago Bulls, Miami Heat. First of all, this is a play-in, and the prize is you get to play the Boston Celtics, the best team in basketball.
Yep.
So good luck. I can guarantee the Heat did this exact same thing last year. Like they beat the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks beat them in the first playing game, which this year Philadelphia did. And then they went and beat Chicago in the second game playing, and then went on to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Newsflash, that ain't happening. First of all, they're not going to have playoff Jimmy. He's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks. Bad break for the Heat there with that MCL. But, man, really tip your cap to this kid. Goes out there. That was in the first quarter. Played 40 minutes on that sprained MCL. Gave the Heat all they can. But, again, not going to have him for the rest of the playoffs. And the playoffs could end today without him. So the info we got on this game right now, Butler out. Terry Rozier still out, missed the final 4 or so games of the regular season, didn't play the last playing game. He'll be out again today. They should get Duncan Robinson back. He's missed about the last 5 games. So you got Milwaukee coming limping in to this situation. But Bulls not much better. Dawson Mo, they're listing him questionable and Drummond questionable. Then he came back and played in the last game. Caruso, who was looking doubtful for this game, has now been upgraded to probable. So injuries taking a big part in this one, Ben. Again, as I said, here's a game last year. If you were a massive member, remember this game last year. We had Chicago Bulls in this game, had a lead late, taking points. Miami closed the game out on a 15-2, some type of run, win and cover, but wind up winning by 11. Can they make a repeat performance? My line right now is with Butler out, with everybody else in for the Bulls, and my line makes this Miami Heat still a 1-point favorite, a small favorite. The line out there right now is Miami 2.
Yeah, I have the ever so slightest of leans here to the Heat just because they've been here, done that before. But really, without Butler, it's tough to get on this game. And he was competitive a little bit in that first half with that knee issue against Philly. And then second half, down the stretch of that game, fourth quarter, he barely touched the ball. So it was really bothering him there. I do think they will be better than they were down the stretch of that second half versus Philly without him on the court. I thought he was a negative at that point. They had him basically sitting in the corner. He wasn't cutting, wasn't moving. It was basically 4-on-5 on offense. Who's going to pick that up? We'll see. Kyle Lowry looked good in that game against them. And, they had the struggles with the guard defense in that game. And it wasn't just Kyle Lowry, but obviously Maxey as well. You don't have as much of that. Obviously, Kobe White, he had a really big performance there for Chicago in the last game. Defensively is my biggest concern here with Miami Heat, and that's what they're kind of defined in. So Heat are nobody in my eyes, but really a stay-away game.
Yeah. The next game we got, Sacramento Pelicans, Ben. Sacks shocked the
Injuries.
shit out of me. All I could say is they shocked the shit out of me. We laid Golden State as a pick. That game went up to 3. For our guys in the chat that have been asking for records and stuff, we're gonna get at you guys with it. We haven't posted records in the NBA season. Not that we hide or any. We are not transparent. We've admitted this was my first losing NBA season. I can't tell you since when. What I can tell you is this. We did again what we've done all year. So to come across as we are losing NBA bettors is just horribly unfair. There is nobody out there that beat the number consistently. And we did it again for the playoffs. We've got 4 games. Every single one of the 4 bets, one has not moved at all. But all the other 3 bets have all moved in our favor. 3 of the 4 have moved 3 points. This is what we do the numbers. So again, it happened with the Golden State Warriors. We laid the money line minus 110. So it's basically a pick. The game closed 3. Man, after halftime, we were just never even in a game. Clay picks the playoff game to go 0 for 10. Curry 5 points in the first half. Just an absolute. What a way to go out for if you want to call them the big 3. They're not really a big 3 anymore. You got an aging Steph, a Clay that's his best days are behind him, and Draymond Green. And I said put a fork in them early in the year. They got revived around the unfortunate death of the assistant coach. They took off about a week. Looked like they needed it. They regrouped. They finished the season off on fire. Mm-hmm. Just never got it put back together. But again, the theme is this: beating the number by 3 points. To explain how we charge $299 a month for our service, not just for picks, okay? But if you take one bet, we laid minus 110 on the Warrior game that day. If you wanted to bet the money line, you got to lay $1.60 if you wanted to bet the money line. That's 50 cents on the dollar. So if you're a $1,000 better, we saved you $500. That's almost 3 months of surface on the first bet on one bet. And that's what happens every time we beat a game by 3 points. So the record was a losing record, not trying to hide anything. We punished the line all year. And over an 82-game span, you have to say you have to get, but we didn't. But the numbers say it's almost impossible to beat the games 3, 4, sometimes more points every day, every game, and not wind up with the money. Unfortunately, for members and us, that's just what happened in the NBA season this season. So again, not hiding anything, was a losing NBA season. There is still no better NBA handicapper in the world. We did it again for the playoffs. We've got 3-point beats on the Mavs game, the Pacers game. We did it on the Warriors game. Phoenix has gone our way. Every game that we bet, we have an edge. So we're going to get those numbers out to you as soon as we get a chance. Just realize me and Ben run this entire show. B, thank God, does all our tech work, all our customer service. But everything else, every word, every letter that's printed up on the website or the app, depending on what you're looking at, it's done by 2 guys doing the numbers, betting the games. This is what we're doing around the clock. When I was just a book or a bettor, I worked half as hard as I do now because all I had to do was know who I was going to bet and get it out. Now I got to write reasons why I'm betting them, stories, post my ratings. So just so you guys know, we'll get you those facts and figures. But again, not about hiding anything. I brag about my NBA because nobody does what I do, and I challenge anybody. Show me somebody that can.
Yeah, I know some of you guys have asked in that chat about getting those numbers out. We will get those. Keep in mind, as much as John and I talk and line up on bets, oftentimes I don't bet all his games. He doesn't bet my game. So for me to have and just look at my numbers is very different. Multiple books. I have to go back and look at all the websites and everything, make sure everything's good and lined up with what the members receive, because that's what matters at the end of the day. But back to this Kings-Pelicans game. Kings obviously had the injury with Huter back at the end of the season. You have Zion. This is a big injury for New Orleans. And there was no one as high in New Orleans all season long as I am. And I kept saying the one thing that would get them was the injuries. What do you know? Ingram, back end of the season, he gets hurt. Zion finally has that performance that I knew he could give on the big stage. That's an MVP caliber performance, 40 points, very efficient shooting, and then the hammy goes in the back end. So I still like the Pelicans in this game against Sacramento. I think it's the Kings in a letdown spot. They beat Big Brother. They take care of Golden State and New Orleans. As much as Zion means to this team, they were competitive without him this season. Ingram's going to have to step up, and McCollum, who's had a really bad shooting performance in that last game, he's going to have to bounce back. But I still like the Pels in this spot. I think they match up nice against Sacramento. Kings, the worst defensive team when it comes to allowing three-point shooting. Going to be problems here against New Orleans if they get going.
So we get a few trends here. Number one, the Pelicans have owned Sacramento, whooping them. I mean, whooping them 5 times this year. Again, teams only usually meet 4 times, but they met due to the in-season tournament. So they beat them 5 times by a combined 96 points. They've won 4 of the last 5, won and covered 4 of the last 5 meetings in New Orleans. One of the wins this year out in Sacramento, 133-100 beatdown, was without Zion. Pelicans 6-2 straight up and against the spread last 8 games without Zion. So a whole hell of a lot of trends to the Pelicans. But Sacramento, best against the spread road team over the last 2 seasons. Pelicans, 6 straight home losses. Still got to agree with Ben. It's Pelicans and nothing. Great spot. They stayed home. Golden State makes the trip cross country. Golden State. Sacramento makes the trip cross country after beating Golden State. A small number. B.I., CJ, Brandon Ingram, and CJ McCollum. Absolute horrible shooting night against the Lakers. This will be Ingram's 3rd game back. Can he get back from injury? Can he get himself back? Can McCollum pick it up? If they can, they can get the win. For me, it's Pelicans or nobody. Haven't made a bet yet in this one.
We'll see what happens there in that game tonight. Both those games will get our matchups for the 1 seed. I will say, if the Pelicans beat Sacramento, I'm picking them against OKC as well, as long as Zion comes back there at some point midway in that series. And that's kind of what we can go branching into now this first round. Keep in mind, guys.
Let me stop you right there, Ben. Yep. OKC has pretty much owned the Pelicans, so I don't know if I want to go there, especially without Zion.
We'll see how that matchup lines up. We'll see what goes on with Zion. We got some first-round talk for you guys. There is 4 or 5 bets now already out for the first round? I think it's 4. 4 bets.
We don't have anything tonight. We've got 2 tomorrow, Saturday, and we've got 2 on Sunday. And once these 2 play-ins are done, who knows what we might have.
Yeah, guys, so if you guys want those 4 bets, sign up on the app or the website. Like John said, most of those numbers have moved a little bit, but not too many big lines in this opening weekend. We'll see what we have going on. But as far as the first round, we'll talk about it kind of series by series. We won't go into these specific games this weekend. You guys want those bets, sign up on the app or the website. John, should start with this Saturday schedule. We have Magic Cleveland, a game we do not have a bet on. I'll tell you guys that. But as far as this series, pretty interesting matchup. A couple of very defensive-minded teams, a couple of your younger teams. Shout out to what Orlando Magic and Paolo Banchero have been able to accomplish this season. I mean, Banchero, can you talk about a young star not getting attention at a bigger level than what he's doing right now? Taking that team, it's on the same level what Edwards done with Minnie and what Shea done with OKC. Obviously, different conference, weaker conference. Orlando climbing that direction. For me in this series, it's Cleveland or nobody. This is a series read. I think this Cavs team, the experience factor is huge. Can Donovan Mitchell get back to playing how he was back earlier in the season? That's a big question yet to be seen. But more importantly, unders. 2 very defensive-minded teams. Last year, Cavs versus the Knicks in the playoffs, that series total started off very similar to what we have in this matchup. It was 207.5 in the opening round and the opening game. At the end of the series, that thing was 200 and closing 199.5 at some points. I think that's what this series is going to look like. A lot of unders in that series. I expect similar in this one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. This is a, as Ben said, solid series. Solid should be defensively. They play a different type of game. Banchero, I don't know the last time this guy shot 50%. He usually leads the team in scoring. Looks like Mitchell is getting his game back the last couple of games. Now, they rested him and Garland, their two leading scorers. They're starting backcourt in the last game, almost wanting not to win that 2 seed. Yep. So let's see if they're going to be sorry what they asked for. Now they're in the 4-5 matchup with Orlando. I think this line is right where it should be. These teams have split 4 meetings this year, but the Cavs swept all 4 last year. Again, Orlando is this team that's been ascending. I kind of liken them to OKC where they were last year. I don't think they have the room for improvement next year that the OKC did, but we got something going on in this Sacramento game. We went right to pick them. We'll keep you guys up to date as I'm just watching some line movement. Haven't got the report yet, but this game jumped from 1.5 sack to straight to pick them before we had a bet out there on this Pelican game. Let's see what that info is about. Anyway, back to that Orlando Cavs series. Split 4 games, 4.5. Really right where I'm making the number on this one. If you're a Massa Edge member, you see I've got the Magic rated 34.2. On the road, I've got the Cavs rated 38.6. That's 4.4 points. The number's 4.5.
And then we got Suns at Minnesota this next series on Saturday. Going to be a great series in my eyes. Western Conference battle here. Younger team, older team. You got to like Phoenix in the series in my eyes. One, they own the matchup first and foremost. They've dominated Minnesota. And I think we touched on this earlier in the week. I mean, just matchup-wise, it is a nightmare here for Minnesota guarding this Phoenix team. Phoenix, keep in mind, no true point guard. They're running their 4 wings and guards out there in Booker, Allen, Beal, and KD. That's a really tough team to guard already. But if your strength defensively is Rudy Gobert and your size in the interior and Karl Anthony Towns, it is a nightmare mismatch with a team who can pick you apart on the perimeter. This is a really, really tough matchup in that sense. And then it comes down to playoff experience. And really, Rudy Gobert has had some experience. Minnesota the last couple of years, they had that really good series with Memphis, some experience. Got some experience last year against Denver, played them somewhat tough. Just don't think they're on the level of this Phoenix team, who outside of Bradley Beal, everybody has some championship-level playoff experience. Suns all the way in this series.
Yeah, own them. 10 of the last 11, 7 of the last 8 at Mini. They just absolutely own them. Minnesota beat every Western Conference team this year at least once, except Phoenix. This was the only team that Minnesota did not. They would rather be fighting Denver than Phoenix.
Nope.
They just don't match up well. As Ben said, Minnesota lost 2 of their last 3 games to fall from the 1 seed to the 3 seed, and Phoenix wins their last 3 to avoid the play-in. It looks like all the forces in nature put these 2 together just for Phoenix to win. And as I mentioned in our previews aren't up yet. They will be shortly for these games after the play-in games. Booker and KD, you know what you're going to get from them. They're both averaging, I believe, 27.1 points per game. And all of a sudden, the last 5 games, Beal getting it going, shooting over 60%, averaging over 26 points per game to give Phoenix that true big 3. This is Phoenix all the way.
Next matchup would be Sixers against the Knicks. Sixers obviously coming off that tight play-in win against Miami, beat them by 1. You have the Knicks who've had the extended period of rest, a team who needs it because Thibodeau grinds them to the ground throughout the regular season. Going to be a really interesting series. Couple of big question marks. One, what are we going to get out of Joel Embiid first and foremost? He did not look good against Miami. I will say he put together one hell of a last 6 minutes of that game in the fourth quarter, executed down the stretch. It was sloppy, but he got it done. They got the break of the Jimmy Butler injury. And then the Knicks. We have teams like this who play really well in the regular season. And typically it's younger teams. In this instance, this Knicks team played really well all regular season long, despite all the injuries, despite all the issues. Can that go to the playoffs when the other team matches that intensity? That was kind of their niche, their thing all season long, was that they were having this level of intensity that most teams don't bring till the playoffs. Going to be interesting. However, one thing I didn't think I'd be saying at this point of the year, Knicks will have the best player on the floor in the series in Jalen Brunson. The way he's played the second half of the season, where Embiid is at right now, he is not at that MVP level. Going to be a tough ask for them, plus the home court advantage. I like the Knicks to pull this one out in the first round.
I'm all over Philly in this one, Ben. Embiid, Maxey, 6 for 17, 6 for 15, something like that, shooting against the Heat. No reason to win the game, but they did. 9 straight wins. The only game they didn't cover was that last game against the Heat. Again, with your 2 stars shooting as bad as they could, I expect another tight defensive battle. And Embiid's only going to get better with more games that he plays. Nothing wrong with Maxey. There's no health issue there. The rest of Philly has gotten better as this year's gone on. They've added, look, Harris plays well, Aubrey plays well. They've added Hield off the bench. They've added Lowry. This is a better Philly team. I have Philly rated better than the Knicks. Knicks won 3 or 4 meetings. 3 of those meetings Embiid was not around for. Before that, Philly had owned them forever. Again, yes, granted, a different Knicks team. Let's see if they're ready to step up to prime time for the playoffs. For me, Philly, the teams did not want to be the 2 seed, just not to go against Philly. And, here the Knicks got it, so then they're going to get Philly. I like Philly in the series, and I like them game 1.
We got Lakers at Nuggets for this last game on Saturday. Obviously, a rematch of the Western Conference Finals last year. Denver, the extra rest in that 2-seed spot. Lakers coming off that play-in against the Pelicans. As far as the Lakers, a couple of things from that series of last year, a couple of X factors. 1, D'Angelo Russell was a no-show. 2, LeBron James was playing on a banged-up foot. You really saw him regress by the series. Was really, really solid against Memphis. Was okay against Golden State. And then by Denver, he was just kind of a shell of himself. He looks a lot better than he was in the playoffs last year. That foot no longer an issue. His three-point shooting, he was shooting just 30% last year. Now it's up to over 40. Everything's looking better for LeBron, more like the vintage LeBron. The Nuggets, the biggest X factor of this entire series, Jamal Murray averaged 33 points a game in that series against them last year. Absolutely cooked them. He took apart the young guards and D'Lo and Reeves and everything else going on there for the Lakers. What are you going to get out of that guard battle? D'Angelo Russell has to bridge that gap between him and Jamal Murray if they want to be competitive in this. And Anthony Davis is going to have to figure out a way to be a little bit more competitive against Jokic. I do think the Lakers have an outside shot. It's going to have to go 7 games if they pull it out. I don't think they could do it in 6. But as far as this game 1, sometimes we talk rest or rust. Wouldn't be surprised this is a little bit one of those situations. Lakers come rolling in. All those games were competitive, by the way, within the last 8 minutes. Yes, Nuggets have won 8 straight meetings. Within the last 8 minutes, it was a 1-possession game either side. Lakers or Nuggets lead. Denver closed out down the stretch. Lakers got to make it more competitive down the stretch.
Ben, I hope that's not some Laker fan talking. Look, Nuggets have won all 3 games this year.
Yep.
They swept them 4 games in the playoffs last year. They own the team. This is the defending champ, Denver Nuggets. I don't think they're going to have any problem with the Lakers. I think the Lakers will be lucky if they win 2 games. I see this series over in 6. I even make the game 1 line a little bit higher. It's a nightmare matchup. There are 2 teams the Lakers don't match up well. It's the 2 foreign centers, Sabonis
Absolutely.
And Jokic, and here's one of them. Don't like this matchup for the Lakers. This was the only matchup that does not do well for the Lakers.
It doesn't do well for them at all. And
OKC mini, they would have been a different story. 4-2 Denver in this one.
We'll see what ends up going in that series on Sunday. Obviously, waiting on some of these 1 season 2 games we have set. Mavs, Clippers. Pretty sure you guys have heard us talk about Dallas all week. Dallas. Sean and I line up on this one. Clippers, just a team that all season long, when they got James Harden, it was rough. Then they go in that 2-month stretch. They look like one of the best teams in basketball. Since then, they've had a slew of injury issues. Paul George missed some time. Kawhi, he missed the end of the season. He got to get an injection in his knee. He's been limited in practice. James Harden, he started to lose his shot, who's a notorious underperformer in the playoffs. Too many issues. Meanwhile, Dallas Mavericks, hottest team in the NBA down the stretch. And most importantly, the biggest concern when you're talking about Luka and Kyrie's the defense, they were the best team defensively in that 17-game stretch.
How the fuck did that happen? I don't even know how that happened, but that is a fact.
Yeah, shout out Jason Kidd. He deserves some credit for that one.
As Ben said, this is two teams going in different directions. Dallas, forget the last two games they played. They got blown out by, 40-50 against OKC. They sat everybody. The last 17 games that Luka's been on the court, Mavs 16-1. The Clippers, they locked up the 4 seed basically pretty early. So for the last 3 games, their starters have only played 1 quarter. Other than that, they rested. Now, Kawhi hasn't played in 8 games. Even if Kawhi comes back, he's not going to come back 100%. If, again, you're a Master Edge member, my ratings are Dallas 41.2 on the road. Dallas, again, best road record against the spread this year. Going against the Clippers, haven't been not much better at home than on the road, if at all. So, again, Clippers 35.4. This is without Kawhi. And I'm going to give it to you without Kawhi because without Kawhi, I've got the Mavs 5.8 points better on the road than I have the Clippers at home. Now, if Kawhi does play, let's say he's worth 4.5 points ballpark, which is what I would generally give him. It's not going to be 4.5 points better in game 1. I can assure you that. They'll break them in slowly. So there's no way that the Mavs are less than a 2.5, 3-point favorite, whether Kawhi plays or not. We took +2 on this game. The Mavs are now as high as a 2-point favorite. Matter of fact, they're pretty much a 2-point favorite everywhere. This is the edge. So we get back to, yeah, but you say you're the best. Yeah, I know. We beat the line every day in the NBA, and here it is, playoffs. This is when playoff games move 3 and 4 points. They don't move like that. That's when you have an edge on the game. And again, this is all I guarantee. I guarantee my guys an edge. I can't guarantee a winner because, as I said, we destroyed the line the entire year in the NBA, which under normal circumstances is going to net us 55 to 58% winners. To have a losing year that we did in NBA this year, it is mind-boggling. But unfortunately, my members lived through it. What I did was I cut their membership in half. So if you'd been a member pretty much the whole basketball season, you're now paying half of what a new member does. So anyway, we beat the number every day, every game. We did it here again. We've swapped favorites from +2 to -2.
And last series on the card, obviously waiting on those 1 seeds, Bucks and Pacers. Big question mark here is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Jeff Stotts, injury expert, says it's normally a 17-day timeline. He emphasized that Giannis is a fast healer for NBA standards. Apparently, he returns quicker than anybody else from the standard injury timeline. And then the official report from the Bucks was 2 to 4 weeks, which fits into that 17-day timeline. So based on where he left April 9th, it looks like he could be returning possibly game 3, more likely game 4 of the series, which is everything to the series. Giannis Antetokounmpo, best player in the Eastern Conference. Got to need him on the floor. But I think Milwaukee can get it done without him. We're talking about a Pacers team who's been bottom in the defense all season long. Mark my words on this one, Damian Lillard, horrible season, but a horrible season for him, still scoring 25 points per game. Yes, yeah, really bad closeout down the stretch. This could be the thing that takes Milwaukee to the next level. Is no Giannis for these first few games. Let Damian Lillard be the man, run the show in a playoff atmosphere, get that confidence back, become the player that led Portland to a conference finals and only didn't go to the finals because they had to go up against a Golden State juggernaut. This could be a situation that makes Bucks run potential. So I like the Bucks game 1. Been great at home all year, full of vets. And I think Bobby Portis has done great stepping up when Giannis has been out this season.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ben. I don't agree with you. We'll see how this one plays out. I think what I saw from Dame, first I see he's struggling with injuries. But guess what? It's fucking playoff time. Everybody's struggling with injuries. Even guys that don't have an injury designation, they got an ankle, got a foot, the plantar fasciitis, my knee, my wrist. So Dame Lillard struggling with injuries. His last game, he goes on the court in a game to get that 2 seed and goes 2 for 14. He had missed the game before. Now, they've had plenty of time off. He did miss practice Tuesday. He's back at practice. Definitely is going to play. There's no question about that. Going to play the Pacers. The Pacers just played a different brand of basketball this year. They came out and lit the league on fire. Led the league in scoring. This reminds me of the old Loyola Marymount college teams. We're just going to outscore you, and that's what they're going to do. Don't play much defense. We're just going to outscore you. Milwaukee ain't outscoring anybody. If you could check it for me, I believe in the previews I put it up. Milwaukee now has lost 6 of their last 8 games, averaging 106 points per game.
Of course, yep, that's correct.
Not gonna get it done against the Pacers squad that puts up $120. Love the Pacers. Love the Pacers without Giannis in there. If Giannis, even if he's to come back in a third game, if he misses the first 2 in Milwaukee, look, guys, anything can happen. I would expect no less than a split. I feel Indy can take both games, but no less than a split. And then you're going to go back to Indiana at least at 1-1, or if they take both, rest Giannis till next year. Look, Milwaukee, after being the best team in the East last year, ran into a red-hot Jimmy Butler in the Heat and got knocked out as the 1 seed from the 8 seed. They're going to be an early exit again this year. Whether Giannis comes back in the third, again, just same thing. Same as Kawhi. You're going to miss how many games? When Giannis come back, he's not going to come back as Giannis. You're going to have to break him in a little bit. Pacers in this series.
We'll see what ends up happening there. Milwaukee is now the dog on the series price. Pacers minus 120 to win it. I still think Bucks pull this one out. Don't trust the worst defense in the NBA. We'll see how she plays out. That's the NBA first round, guys. Again, 4 bets on that slate. We hinted at some of them. And for the rest of it, make sure you guys sign up on the app or website. And let's try to run through this baseball slate as quick as possible for you guys. John and I will go back and forth 1 game apiece, and we'll just kind of rally through. John, I'll let you take this top game here, Marlins at Cubs.
Yeah, man, do you want a guy named Puke for a team that you can literally throw up watching Miami? Just they can't score. Here's Puke. He hasn't pitched in over a week. You're going to go pitch at Wrigley Field. Cubs lead the league in scoring runs at home, 7.33 runs per game. The only thing I'm looking at here, this is Taillon's coming back. He hasn't made a performance this year, a little shoulder issue. So you could be betting against him. That's the only thing I see there. I think the number's right where it belongs. The take-back's about $1.50, and I think that's a fair number for right now. The team with the worst record, well, I guess Colorado's got the worst record in the National League, but one of the worst teams in baseball right now. Now, look, they've just been blitzed. I mean, absolutely blitzed by injuries to the pitching staff. And then over the weekend, they lost over this week, they lost Jake Berger, who actually led the team in RBIs. No reason for me to bet Miami. I like to bet the Dogs. I'd like to have a little day action. The number was higher. I would like to take a shot, but not high enough due to the circumstances I just mentioned.
We got Red Sox at Pirates. This Boston team coming off a rough homestand, just 3-7. O'Neal, he's on the IL. Devers, he's questionable. So offensive issues there for Boston. I like the Red Sox in this game today. You just got a complete pitching mismatch. Bayo versus Priester. Bayo's been solid. Hasn't gone too deep, but he's been solid. They've won 3 of his 4 starts. Priester, first start this year, similar to Taillon. He did have some AAA appearances. Last year, though, he was just brutal. And brutal at home, especially. He gave up, I believe it was 24 runs in 23 and a third inning pitch at home. It's over a 9 ERA. Give you one of the better pitchers in the AL East now, taking apart a Pirates team after a red-hot start, absolutely cooled off. Just 2-5 their last 7, and they're scoring 1.7 runs per game in that series. They got swept against the Mets, hitting just $150. Give me the pitching edge against the non-existent Pirates offense right now.
We got worst team in baseball, White Sox. This is not a major league team. This is a team from the movie Major League, basically. Lewis Robert, their best player, he's on the injured list. So this kid Crochet, I don't know what his name is, pitched a couple of good games, got hit by the Reds, but they only got him in that first inning. I believe it was the first inning, and then he settled down. Still, Philly starting to turn it around. 3 solid wins against the other worst road team in baseball, the Rockies, but at least they started putting some runs up. Turnbull has been a nice part, pleasant little surprise, doing a decent job for Philly, who all of a sudden you look with Wheeler at the top of that staff and Nola and Suarez and Sanchez and Turnbull. That's a nice little pitching staff. So
Absolutely.
Philly usually gets it done with the bats, has the pitching going for them. So now they're on a 5-2 winning homestand right now. And you've got the worst team in baseball coming in. Not enough of I'd have to have a higher number to want to get involved with the White Sox. So I'll be leaving this one alone.
Got Angels at Cincy. Angels coming off a loss at Tampa. They're 3-4 on this trip right now. Shout out Mike Trout, tied with the Major League in homers, playing back like the guy he is. And Cincinnati coming off a tough series there against Seattle, scoring just 1.7 runs per game. Their bats have cooled off. They got Encarnacion and Candelaria both questionable. Anderson versus maybe Lodolo. It was originally Lodolo. Currently, it's undecided for who's going to pitch for Cincy today. We'll see if it is Lodolo. It would be his second start back this year. Anderson, he was really lights out his first 2 starts. Last one a bit roughed up. Granted, it's at Boston, a place he hasn't pitched well. Angels are nothing for me in this one.
We'll wait for the actual official pitcher in that one. You get Houston at Washington, and how about the Nationals making us some money against the Dodgers? Our last bet, plus 230 against the Dodgers. Now they're going to come back home, and Gore's been actually, I got to say, he's their ace right now. Josiah, a couple of rough starts. He's on the IL, so Gore's been pitching some nice ball. Houston's going to get Verlander back today. Verlander, I think, is my age. You
guys went to high school together, right?
He's going to be making his first start. A couple of rough rehab starts, did not pitch well in rehab. Houston just have lost their way. Granted, look at who they played. 7 games against Texas. Just got swept by the Braves. This is a series they need. Washington, not as good at home as they are on the road, and Houston, much better on the road than they are at home. So maybe they come in. Here comes their chicken soup, but they need to get healthy in a hurry. They're losing some ground over here in the early going. It's a must-need game for them. But, look, this was Nationals or nobody. You want to bet against a name, the Astros, Verlander. There's your overlay already. You know they're going to be overpriced, and they were in this one. I thought this was going to tick a little higher, and that one little minute that I waited long, that's exactly when the Sharps came in and buried this game. They took this game. This game was 160 on the overnight. It's down to 140. All the sharp money's on the Nationals. That's where we would have been. We were just waiting to see how high they were going to push the game. We talk about phonies a lot. So for our new guys, let me explain that. The Sharps will know what side they want. They'll push the opposite side to a number when there are limited books open overnight and early in the morning. All the sheep, I call all the sheep books, open up off of what they see. Pinnacle, Chris, your main books open up. And now, after they've invested a few $1,000 relative, they can bet tens of $1,000s the other way. That's a phony. Just the way they manipulate the stock market, that's how they manipulate the betting market. So they pushed they pushed Houston up just a little bit. I thought they were going higher, and because I'm a greedy fuck, I missed this bet, but it would have been Nationals or nothing. Now, no value with this game down to 140.
We got Rays at Yankees next. Rays coming off a win against the Angels. Yanks, they had a nice rally in the 9th against Toronto. Pulled that one out, 4-2 their last 6. Judge, a big 9th inning hit there. Outside of that, it's been brutal for Aaron Judge. And that's kind of the most impressive thing about the Yankees right now. No MVP, Aaron Judge, he's there. He's not playing. No Cy Young. Garrett Cole, they're still tied with the AL best records. We'll see if that continues here. Schmidt versus Alexander today. Schmidt, solid pitcher, nothing great, nothing bad, just gets out there, gives you give or take 5 innings, 2 to 3 runs he allows, keeps you in the game. They've won all 3 of his starts. Alexander, a couple of rough outings, Then they do what Tampa Bay does. They put him behind an opener. Next thing you know, it comes up with six in the innings, 2 runs. So that was kind of the little recipe he needs. We'll see if he bounces back against the Yankees. Either way, overlay price of the Yankees at home. Rays are a much worse team this season. Not this much worse. This is not a competitive price here. Tampa or nothing in this game.
Yeah, let me just weigh in on that because Tampa does this opener thing more than and better than any other team in baseball. But you got a guy here, Alexander, struggled with it in a start. Then they use an opener. He pitches good. Now you're making him start again. Why not use an opener again? I don't understand it. But anyway, I just wanted to touch a bit on that one. The next game is Oakland going to Cleveland. And Oakland surprising us so far, getting a couple of wins.
Nope.
One of the surprises was a fucking 7-6 win. We had the Nationals with a 6-1 lead, and it was only the second time all year they'd scored more than 4 runs. They came up to beat us 7-6. That being said, they salvaged 2 of 3. They salvaged 1 of 3 games against the Cardinals, and sure enough, we were on them that day. So we were on the A's in their last win. It would be A's or nobody in today, but here's a number that was crushed overnight. The take back on this number last night was plus 169. This game is down to plus 148 at best now. So that cherry number, as we call it, that's gone. That's where the value is. What we just weren't ready last night to get out there with the Oakland bet. The Sharps hit it. They were ready, and they've driven this game down. To me, it was Oakland or nobody. McKenzie has not returned to form yet. Cleveland coming off another a winning series, but another tough series. Play again in Boston. Travel. A's hat off. Boyle, not great, but looking a little better. I give him the edge. A's or nobody in this one.
We got your guys' free bet of the day. Rangers taking on a trip to Atlanta. Your reigning World Series champs versus your reigning best record in MLB last season. This Texas team start to put the bats together a little bit against Detroit. Garcia hit another homer. Simeon had a big game. Ozuna, monster game the other night, or monster season so far. 8 homers on the year. This Braves team, I mean, doing what they do. They put up runs. And so does Texas. We got Sale versus Heaney today. 2 pitchers who are probably going to allow both teams to continue to put up runs. Heaney hasn't looked great. The command's been a little bit off. 3K, 7 walks last couple starts against the Stros. Sale, he's coming off a start, got roughed up by the Marlins. You're one of your worst teams in the MLB. So 2 pitchers not going well. 2 offenses in rhythm. Could be an over game, but obviously big number here, John, for the World Series champs.
Yeah. Plus 180 with the World Series champs. Sale hasn't pitched a complete game yet.
Yep.
And look, everything best hitting team in baseball. Not even a question about it. A day off. Red hot right now. Texas played in travel yesterday. All that being said and done, if Sale had just another name. He's not the Chris Sale from years ago. He's a guy that got hit by the weak-hitting Marlins for 5 runs in his last outing, still without a quality start, just too high of a number. This was a 1-unit bet. We took 183 with the Rangers.
Got Orioles at Kansas City in this next one. Creamer versus Marsh. Orioles won the last 4 on the homestand. KC, they go 3-3 on the trip, but they're an AL best 8-2 at home this season. These 2 teams already met. Orioles won 2 of 3 in Baltimore. They took 2 of 3 at KC last season as well. Marsh has been solid. They won all 3 of his starts. He was roughed up a little bit last time out. He did have a quality start versus the O's, 1 run in 7 innings. And Creamer, last start, brutal, hammered, absolutely crushed by the Brewers. 8 runs, 10 hits in 4 innings against Milwaukee. As slightest of pitching edges, I'm going to give the Marsh in this one. And looking at Kansas City, home dog with the best home record in the AL. They're putting up over 6 runs a game there. Yes, Baltimore starting to get in rhythm. Bats starting to heat up. A very good road team as well. We need a little bit more on this price here, but Kansas City or nothing.
Kansas City or nobody, I'll agree because of Kramer's last outing. Baltimore, I've got Baltimore just a little bit better than I think the line makers have and the prognosticators have. I think they're going to be challenging the Yankees, giving them a little tougher of a run. With that being said, Kansas City playing real well at home. I was against Kansas City with the Mets. because they're one of the teams that have your bigger splits. Outside of Colorado has having the biggest split home and away. KC has your next biggest split. They're that much of a different team at home. So they finish up a road trip with even a loss to the brutal White Sox, but they come home where they play much better baseball. Marsh, got to call him the fifth best starter on that solid staff. Ben's been telling you about that staff since before the season even started. And
staff leads MLB with pitchers going 6+ innings. They're getting a lot of innings out of that staff.
That staff is doing it for them. Look, have to like them as a home dog in a spot. But remember, Baltimore, solid on the road. Best home record in the American League last year. No easy go here. So as Ben said, for me, it's same thing, KC or nobody. But I just need a little bit higher to get behind Marsh.
We got Tigers at Twins. A couple of central matchups coming up, actually. Detroit, big hits yesterday. Rallied back against Texas. They kept trailing. Couldn't pull it out, though. Lose that one 9-7. You have this Twins team just not hitting. They come back 2-5 on the trip. They lost at Baltimore in the last one. They're swept by the O's. Just last in hitting, buck 93 on the season. No interest in backing the worst offense in baseball right now. Maybe second worst. White Sox think a little bit worse than them as far as runs scored goes. Flaherty versus Ryan. Ryan's been good, not great, but he's been good. Flaherty bounce back quality start against the Twins. They're going to see him twice in a row. Maybe this is what the Twins need to really wake up the bat. See Flaherty twice in 1 week. Either way, staying away from this one. Nightmare of a game in my eyes.
Yeah, as good as Ryan has been this year, as good as he's been in his career against the Tigers, I still got to beat Tigers and nobody. Neither team can hit, but Twins are abysmal. They're under the Mendoza line, and that's it for you younger guys. Mendoza was a ball player that barely hit 200, and they considered that the Mendoza line. The team is hitting under 200, last in the major leagues. They can't be this big a favorite as good as he's pitching. So with that said and done, Tigers, remember, much better on the road than they are at home. Twins are also better at home, though, than they are on the road. Pitching edge to many, but not enough to make them this big a favorite. If it goes higher, I'd have to give the Tigers a real look.
We got Brewers at St. Louis. Brewers, they were no hit going on into the 7th against San Diego. Still pulled out the win, though, 1-0. They had dropped prior 3, scoring just 2.8 runs per game their last 4 games. So this offense was on fire first couple weeks of the season. Fell off. Granted, they've been great on the road. MLB best 7-2. We'll see if that continues at division rival St. Louis. Cards has been 500 ball. They go 3-3 on the trip. They're 3-3 at home. They really haven't completely gone on a bad run yet. We'll see if they get on a good one. Won't be starting today. I mean, it's just a pitching mismatch. Peralta coming off another quality start. They've won all 3 of his starts. Gibson, he's been annihilated his last 2 times out. 11 runs, 13 hits, 12 innings. No interest in getting involved with St. Louis as the home dog in here. Would even be considering worth laying a price with Peralta. Did it with him at Baltimore. They pulled that one out. Think it's worth again today at St. Louis.
I started jumping on top of your games too. We're supposed to go 1 each. So let me take Seattle and Colorado. Seattle coming off a big sweep against Cincy. They needed that one. You could feel the tide turn in that first game. Bats woke up a little bit. They caught us with that one. We had Cincy in the first game. Usually we follow up. We just sensed it, so we laid off the rest of the series. Seattle sweeps 3 straight wins. They beat Rockies all 3 last year. Rockies return home, but they play much better at home. Here's a game. I'm looking at Rockies as a home dog. Dakota Hudson's come over from last year, pitching decent ball, and that's saying a lot when you're pitching at Coors Field. Hancock hasn't done a bad job, but look, there's no question he's the worst starter on a loaded Mariner pitching staff. If this game ticks a little higher, it's Colorado or nobody for me.
Got Blue Jays at Padres. Blue Jays coming off a tough blown lead against the Yanks. Gave up 4 in that 9th inning. You have this Padres team who just couldn't get the bats going on that last game of the road trip. They played good ball, went 4-2 on the trip. They got a great start out of Michael King. Gave them 7 almost no-hit innings against Milwaukee. They lose that one. Pitching edge, I'm going to give it to Waldron today. A couple of young pitchers. Rodriguez, he made his debut, gave up 1 run in 3 2/3. That was against Colorado. And Waldron going for San Diego. Knuckleballer. I actually like his stuff. Last 2 starts against the Dodgers and Giants, 2 runs, 1 earned, 10 1/3. He's been pitching good ball. They've dropped all 3 of his games. This is San Diego or nothing in my eyes. Couple of young pitchers. Give me the team who's playing better. Toronto just doesn't look in rhythm yet. Padres are nothing here for me.
We got Mets at Dodgers. Dodgers not off to the start. Everybody thought they'd be off to.
Not at all.
And that's because all of their pitching is on the injured list. They've got a whole staff basically on the injured list. Yamamoto, he'll go today. So hammered in his first inning against San Diego in Korea. Came back, pitched a couple of good games. Got hit a little bit last time out. He'll face Minaya, who first pitched 2 great games for the Mets. Banged up his last time out by that Kansas City team we were just talking about. Dodgers are the better team. Dodgers have the pitching edge. But this is a 190 favorite over a Mets team that's already starting to win. Mets, again, one of those teams that has a bigger home advantage than away. They've won 4 of their last 5 games at L.A. This is Mets or nobody. We'll see where this line is later on today.
And last game on the card, Diamondbacks and Giants. Great pitching matchup, especially with all the narratives to it. You got Montgomery versus Snell. Snell has not looked right in his first 2 starts. Granted, missed spring training, getting back in rhythm, late offseason acquisition. And so was Montgomery. Late offseason acquisition. He had to go to AAA to get him going. So we'll see what either of these guys can show up with today. Montgomery in his rehab starts not good. 9 runs, 12 hits, 7 2/3. But these are 2 of your best pitchers in all baseball last season. Montgomery, maybe the best pitcher in the postseason, maybe except for Eovaldi. So excited to see what we get here in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. They haven't been putting up pitcher-friendly numbers. Would love to see that, though. Both these guys bounce back today with a start in this one. Snell in his career dominates Arizona. 5-1, 1.11 ERA in 8 starts. Don't want to buck that. As bad as he's been, Montgomery hasn't been better in his rehab starts. And the home start pitcher ballpark against the team he owns could be the recipe Snell needs to get going. Lean San Fran in this one. They kind of own this matchup in San Francisco.
That's it, guys. That's the full card. You got a little look at today's 2 playing games of a quick preview of the NBA playoffs once these playing games are over. And we got a whole big MLB card. One bet that we did give you, the Atlanta Braves Rangers, just too high of a number. Value. Where does value come in? It's going to come in against the Dodgers. It's going to come in against the Braves. It's going to be on the garbage team. Nobody wants like the White Sox. That doesn't mean we're going to play them or against them every time out. There's still got to be some value there. How much more value could you want than have the defending Major League Baseball champs on the road, plus a 183 to rep, big number against a pitcher has not thrown a quality start. And that's where we feel the value is so far today. Got a lot of other leans. If somebody gets a night's rest or a line moves a certain way, we'll be on other games. Stay tuned.
That's the slate, guys. As John said, make sure if you guys want any of the NBA playoff bets, sign up on the app or website, massaedge.com. You'll get all of those. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe below. Now that we're done with the NBA regular season, things start to slow down a bit. We could start coming back on Wednesdays if you guys start showing engagement. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. And, hey, let's make some money.
Yeah, Wednesday's a day game. A lot of day games. We'd be happy to do something early. As Ben said, show us a little love. We'll show you some.
Yep. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's have a weekend. Let's make some money.
Let's make some